Good morning. Welcome to your Terrific Tuesday. Let's start our day with fixed programming and let's learn the artist's way along with the mirror work. So let's start our day running towards our goals, knowing each one of us is a winner for life. And how wonderful. Let's start. Let's start running till the music starts. Think of your dreams. Yes, I'm a winner. Left leg in the front, right in the back, and let's run once again. Yes, I'm a winner. And how wonderful is that? Let's start our morning with the mirror work. So, can I have a volunteer for the day, please? Somebody raise their hand. Yes, Shivani. So, today is mirror work day 16, and today we are going to be learning a bit more about ourselves, about healing our relationships. Very important because relationships are what drive you and me. Without relationships, none of us is anything. In fact, we have relationship with ourselves as well as with others. It's very important to learn about that. Today, you learn about releasing an old love, healing a broken relationship, and looking for a new love. So, this new love could not only just be the love, it could be anything in life. And forgiveness as being the chapter for us for the past couple of days is coming on and off. So, forgiveness will again be talked about. Ritesh, sir, are we having the book in front of us? So, yeah, let's start with this book. Shivani, if you want, you can start reading the chapter. Today we have a long day. Forgiveness is a miracle cure.
Forgiveness is a miracle cure. We all have been looking for. You probably feel much lighter and
We
more
can't hear
beautiful.
your voice.
Am I audible?
No,
Is it okay?
no, it's far from the microphone.
Is it okay now?
Yes, please.
Yeah. Forgiveness is a miracle cure. We all have been looking for. You probably feel much lighter and more beautiful today. Celebrate your freedom and surround yourself with love. Indeed, love is our topic for today. You may want to release an old love or heal a broken relationship, or maybe you are looking for a new love. I want you to look in your mirror right now. Do you see that wonderful and loving person looking back at you? This is the most important person you know, yourself. I want to heal a
If you
relationship.
want to heal a relationship. If
If you, sorry, if you want to heal a relationship, the first relationship you need to improve is the one you have with yourself. Why would anyone want to be with you if you don't want to be with you? When you are when you are happy with yourself, then all other relationships improve too. A happy person is very attractive to others. If you're looking for more love, then you need to love yourself more. It is as simple as that.
very
The,
simply, when you go out to meet people, how do you feel when somebody's all the time bubbling with excitement? You know, he or she is like on top of his craziest self, laughing, giggling, making you smile, vis-a-vis somebody who's got heavy, is just criticizing, complaining. How do you feel? And if you like the person A much better than person B, then it's time to be the person A. And for this, most simplest fact is giving love to yourself. Just give love to yourself. That's all that you need to do. The minute you start giving love to yourself, you will change into the newer being. Very important. Very, very, very important. No criticizing, no complaining, no talking negative, no seeing negative in anything or anyone. And that's the best way to go about it. So, yes, please, let's start.
this means no criticism, no complaining, no blaming, no whining, and no choosing to feel lonely. It means being very content with yourself in the present moment and choosing to think thoughts that make you feel good now. There is no one way to experience love, for everyone experiences it in different ways. For some of us, to really experience love, we need to feel love through being hugged and touched. Others need to hear the words, I love you. Still others need to see a demonstration of love, such as gift of flowers. Often, our preferred way of receiving love is the way we feel most comfortable demonstrating it in return. I suggest that you use your mirror and work on loving yourself continually every day. Say your loving affirmations every moment you can. Demonstrate the growing love you have for yourself. Treat yourself to romance and love. Pamper yourself. Show yourself how special you are. Life always mirrors back to us the feelings we have inside. As you develop your inner sense of love and romance, the right person to share your growing sense of intimacy will be attracted to you like a magnet. If you want to go from loneliness thinking to fulfillment thinking, then you need to create a loving mental atmosphere within and around you. Let any negative thoughts about love and romance fade away. Instead, think about sharing love, approval, and acceptance with everyone you meet. When you truly love who you are, you stay centered, calm, and secure, and your relationships at home and at work will be wonderful. You will find yourself reacting to people and situations differently. Matters that were once desperately important to you will not seem quite as crucial anymore. New people will enter your life, and perhaps some old ones will disappear. This may be scary at first, but it can also be refreshing and exciting. Remember, when you think joyous thoughts, you will be a happy person. Everyone will want to be with you, and all your relationships will improve and flourish. Let's affirm deep in the center of my being is an infinite well of love. I am love.
So, very important to pamper yourselves, very important to love yourselves, very, very important to do things that you love. For a change, start pampering yourself. You've been pampering your partners, your family, your loved ones. How about pampering yourself? You want to go to the spa, you want to go for a nice hike, you want to do something, you want to buy yourself flowers, it's time to do that. The minute you start loving yourself, a lot of things will unfold. Of course, there will be toxic people who will exit your life, and there will be good people who will walk into your life, because that's how it's going to be. Whatever whatever your frequency is, your vibes are, your aura is, that's what you will be attracting. So if you're in a good vibe zone, good feeling zone, of course you'll attract the good people. And that's how life is. So let's affirm and let's move on in life, realizing that each one of us is a person in progress and we are moving towards a very positive life. Today, what do we do in front of the mirror? Of course, we go back to a lesson on mirror work from day two. So you have to open your journals on day two, what you wrote down, stand in front of your mirror, look deeply into your eyes and say these affirmations. I love you. I really love you. Using your name this time, look deeply into your eyes and say, I love you. I really love you. These affirmations are worth repeating over and over again. If you are having trouble in your relationships looking into your eyes, breathe deeply and say, I am willing to release the need for relationships that don't nourish and support me. Repeat this affirmation 5 times in the morning, and each time you say it, give it more meaning. Think of specific relationships as you say it. So, there are some relationships that are toxic, who are all the time undermining your importance, who are all the time belittling you, saying negative stuff to you, and about your growth. You can't do this, you can't do that kind of people. So, think about them. If you think right now, you may be thinking that, oh, they're very important. I can't do without them. But what's happening is it's not like the people tend to go out of your life. They diminish their negative chatter with you. And sometimes they move out also. So it's not like they will completely exit, but yes, their toxic idea, the talking, that will definitely exit. So please think about them because you don't want them in your life. They're not good for your growth. Now, how do we journal today? The power is within us. In our journal, we'll write about how we've experienced love as a child. So, a lot of you have had relationships with yourself being loved. People have loved you, which is brilliant. A lot of you have had problems where maybe you were subjected to something and you just weren't very comfortable with it. Today is the time to go back to that. Did you observe your parents expressing love and affection? Or were you raised with lots of hugs? In your family, was love hidden behind fighting, crying, or silence? So now you have to see your childhood. Were your parents demonstrative of love for each other? Did they have a great camaraderie, or were they all the time bickering, chattering, fighting, crying? So now that has scarred you or made you. So now go back to that thing and write about it. Write 10 affirmations of love and practice them in front of your mirror. Here are some examples. I am worthy of love. The more I open to love, the safer I am. Today I remember that life loves me. I let love find me at the perfect time. Write down in 10 things that you love to do. Pick 5 and do them today. So now we write 10 affirmations and we write down 10 things that we love to do, right? So if I like to go to the spa, if I like to go for a hike or like to buy flowers or whatever, my golf or whatever, play an instrument, write down the 10 things. And now, if possible, do 5 today. Some things are so small, but they're things that you love. So it's very easily possible. See what, suppose you like to eat some particular meal. That could also be part of your 10 things. And all that you have to do is Swiggy it these days. Just call for it and it'll be delivered. So it's not difficult to do 5 things that you love. May seem too much, but it isn't too much. Take several hours and pamper yourself. Buy yourself flowers, treat yourself to a healthy meal, show yourself how special you are. Repeat step 3 every day this week. So, this week, our job is to write 10 affirmations of love and practice them in front of mirror. Very, very important. So, you know what happens? They're conditioning you to have self love, to say that, I am important. And yes, right now, I'm worthy of love. Now, of course, you love your children, you love your parents, you love your colleagues and everyone, but it's time to love myself. This is what we're supposed to do this week. And expressing the first one is very important. Now, having learned this, if you're young parents, at least now wake up to the fact that you're supposed to put up a good front in front of your children. Some people say, let them grow up. No, this is a hard reality. Kya usko acha acha dikhana? Let them see that life is also tough. No, let them see life is beautiful. You have fights, you have grievances in your bedroom, please. Lock your room and shout it out. Do what you want. Not in front of children, not in front of people. Because that's your dirty linen. Wash that not in public, but in your bedroom. You don't want the scars and you don't want the dirt throwing everywhere around. So let your children know that mom, dad love each other and they're unconditional in their love. And keep hugging them. This generation shocks, they just keep throwing you away when you're hugging them and kissing them. But that's okay. You continue keeping doing that because that is a lot of love. Next page, please. We have a heart thought for the day, and the heart thought is absolutely beautiful. It says, I live in a circle of love. How wonderful. Envelope your family in a circle of love, whether family members are living or not. Broaden the circle to include your friends, your loved ones, your co workers, everyone from your past, and all the people you would like to forgive but don't know how. Affirm that you have wonderful, harmonious relationships with them all, with respect and caring on both sides. Know that you can live with dignity and peace and joy. Let this circle of love envelope the entire planet and let your heart open so that you have space within you for unconditional love. And I will be doing this for all of us in the meditation. So it's okay. I will make you do this as well. So thank you, Ritesh sir, for showcasing the first book. And now the second book is Our Artist's Way. Much looked into, and today we are starting. So, how many of you have gone on your artist date, and how many of you are diligently writing your morning pages? Bina Naga, which means without skipping. Very important, the artist's way is to be done. Me, Nitin, Shivani, Nehal, Prachi, lots of people, Ankur, Riguni, Ashwin. How wonderful. Fantastic. Thank you so many of you for writing that. Very important to do like a therapy in the morning, release whatever comes to your mind, and to go on the artist date. Okay, I hope the artist date is also happening. Writing could be happening. Jigisha, yes. What about Prashant? What about Prakash? Ah, bad student in the class, huh? All right, on and off. No, no, that's not nothing called on and off. It has to be on only. We don't get off in life. We're just switching on now. So, all right. Thank you for being authentic. Week three. It's a very powerful week because, of course, as we all know, that week three is really important. Number three is very important. Today, this week may find you dealing with unaccustomed bursts of energy and sharp peaks of anger, joy, and grief. You are coming into your power as the illusionary hold of your previously accepted limits is shaken. You will be asked to consciously experiment with spiritual open-mindedness. So it's one of my favorite, weeks. Here you will become a little more open-minded. You will be shaken off. You have some limitations in your beliefs. ऐसा ही होता है. And now there'll be a lot of burst of energy, and you will have a great week. I can see that. Now, recovering a sense of power. So let's go for it. Shivani, let's start. Anger.
Anger is fuel. We feel it and we want to do something. Hit someone, break something, throw a fit, smash a fist into the wall, tell those bastards. But we are nice people. And what we do with our anger is the stuff is stuff it, deny it, bury it, block it, hide it, lie about it, meditate it, muffle it, ignore it. We do everything but listen to it. Anger is meant to be listened to. Anger is a voice, a shout, a plea, a demand. Anger is meant to be respected. Why? Because anger is a map. Anger shows us what our boundaries are. Anger shows us where we want to go. It lets us see where we have been and lets us know when we haven't liked it. Anger points the way, not just the finger. In recovery of a blocked artist, anger is a sign of health. Anger is meant to be acted upon. It is not meant to be acted out. Anger points the direction. We are meant to use anger as a fuel to take the actions we need to move where our anger points us. While a little thought, we can usually translate the message that our anger, with a little thought, we can usually translate the message that our anger is sending us.
So very important to understand this first paragraph firstly. Gussa aata hai, gussa aayega. You will not become a Buddha where there will be no gussa. But time is to realize that you please don't deny it. Please don't bury it. Please don't block it. Don't hide it. Don't lie about it. What do we have to do it? Please understand, we simply have to listen to it. गुस्सा क्यों आया? And like, when I get angry these days, I simply go into meditation. And I just realize in the meditation, I'm able to absorb why I got angry or what reason was it that I got angry. You have to respect the anger. You can't deny anger. लोग बोलते गुस्सा नहीं आना चाहिए. अरे क्यों नहीं आना चाहिए? ये तो है नहीं कि बुद्ध हैं, ये तो है नहीं सब लोग सब कुछ परफेक्ट है. कभी कभी तो आ सकता है, राइट? Anger is to be now taken as a map where आपकी क्या सीमाएं हैं, क्या boundaries हैं, you're told that. So now you will realize that, how can you recover from anger? People who don't get angry, congratulations, my husband's one of them. In 21 years, I must have seen him get angry, what, six, four, five, six times? So, but anger is a sign of health. You must show that if you're angry, you're healthy as well. And anger has to be acted upon. If you are acting upon anger, you are definitely healing. You're a person in progress. But if you're burying it, no, it doesn't. It doesn't work. Let's turn the page, please. Yes, Shelly, it definitely shows on his face. All right. Shivani, over to you.
Blast him. I could make a better film than that. This anger says, you want to make movies? You need to learn how. I can't believe it. I had this idea for a play 3 years ago and she's gone and written it. This anger says, stop procrastinating ideas. Don't get opening nights. Finish plays do. Start writing.
Wait a minute.
That,
No,
yeah.
no, it was differently said. This anger says stop procrastinating. Ideas don't get opening nights. Finished plays do. Start writing. Which means if you have ideas, act upon them. दिमाग में आइडिया है फिर आप बोल रहे हो किसी और ने मूवी बना ली, किसी और ने बुक लिख ली, किसी और ने पहले कर लिया. सो मोर पावर टू यू ना. स्टार्ट. किसने मना किया है? फिनिश प्लेज गेट द अपलॉज, राइट? स्टार्ट राइटिंग. Be the director of your life. If you want to do something, start acting. I know you have zillion-dollar ideas in your mind. Fantastic. More power to you. Put them into act, yeah? Yes, please.
That's my strategy he's using. This is incredible. I have been ripped off. I knew I should have pulled the material together and copyrighted it. This anger says it's time to take your own ideas seriously enough to treat them well. When we feel anger, we are often very angry that we feel anger. Damn anger. It tells us we can't get away with our old life any longer. It tells us that old life is dying. It tells us we are being reborn and birthing hurts. The hurt makes us angry. Anger is the firestorm that signals the death of our old life. Anger is the fuel that propels us into a new one. Anger is a tool, not a master. Anger is meant to be tapped into and drawn upon. Used properly, anger is useful.
This is very important to understand that anger is meant to be tapped into and drawn upon. Please tap into your anger. Why am I angry? What reason made me angry? Understand it, use it properly. If anger is tapped upon properly, anger is most definitely useful. Lots of advantages using your anger well. So please use the anger in the right fashion. Understand it. Talk to yourself about the language. Problem is we don't understand the language. Gussa aa gaya, trigger off ho gaya, and you bury it. You don't even talk about it. Very important to have a dialogue. Firstly, with yourself. Forget the person who's triggered it. He may not be, he or she may not be at your level. But what about you? You're a person in progress. Start addressing the anger and use it usefully. Yes, please.
Sloth, apathy, and despair are the enemy. Anger is not. Anger is our friend, not a nice friend, not a gentle friend, but a very, very loyal friend. It will always tell us when we have been betrayed. It will always tell us when we have betrayed ourselves. It will always tell us that it is time to act in our own best interest. Anger is not the action itself, it is action's invitation.
So again, there are two, three types of angers. First, anger will be when somebody has cheated you of something and not done something in accordance with your whims and fancies. Okay, so now that could be for your progressive growth or may not be. One is you're just being selfish कि जो मुझे चाहिए वही होना चाहिए and it doesn't make head and tail. Then you're being selfish. Then you're betraying yourself. It'll tell you, what are you doing? What is happening? And the third time is it'll just tell you, okay, this is happening because time to act. बहुत हो गया, बहुत ले लिया. सुनते 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 सुनते. Now it's time to act. So anger is not the action. Anger is the action's invitation. Understand deeper what action has invoked the anger and understand the language and act upon it. Very, very important. Synchronicity.
Answered prayers are scary. They imply responsibility. You asked for it. Now that you have got it, what are you going to do? What what else the cautionary phrase? Watch out for what you pray for. You might just get it. Answered prayers deliver us back to our own hand. This is not comfortable. We find it easier to accept them as examples of synchronicity. A woman admits to a buried dream of acting. At dinner the next night, she sits beside a man who teaches beginning actors. A writer acknowledges a dream to go to a film school. A single exploratory phone call puts him in touch with a professor who knows and admires his work and promises him that the last available slot is now his. A woman is thinking about going back to school and opens her mail to find a letter requesting her application from the very school she was thinking about going to. A woman wonders how to rent a rare film she has never seen. She finds it in her neighborhood bookstore 2 days later. A businessman who has secretly written for years vows himself to ask a professional writer for a prognosis on his talent. The next night, over a pool table, he meets a writer who becomes his mentor and then collaborator on several successful books.
So please understand, synchronicity is not just by chance. You're attracting it in your life. Synchronicity is happening because law of attraction is working. You're thinking of something is coming to you, and then you say, "Oh, it's a miracle. Oh, life is going beautifully." So yes, my dear friends, we are attracting these beautiful life, these example situations in our life. Duke Ellington says, "I merely took the energy it takes to pout and root some blues." Shakti Gavan says, "The universe will reward you for taking risks on its behalf." Life is meant to be taken risks with. You have to play with it. You can't go safe, 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 har samay safe. You have to work. You have to have some risk. It's okay to take risk. Take the risk for this, so that whatever happens, it will happen for my highest good or for others' highest goods. It's okay to lose some money at times. Remember, life is not about it. Keep growing, keep experimenting, keep experimenting, keep going to the next level. The work of the chariot says, when a man takes one step towards God, God takes more step towards that man than there are sands in the worlds of time. So God is there with you. Spirituality is there with you. Universe is there with you. What are you scared about? Go experience it. And please keep praying because our prayers are most definitely answered. And that's what the magic is all about. And when your prayers are answered, you have to take the action. ये नहीं कि prayer answer हो गई और अब आप आराम ठंडे होके बैठ गए. Now it's time for responsibility and action time. Let's continue.
It's my experience that we are much more afraid that there might be a God than than we are that there might not be. Incidents like those above happen to us, and yet we dismiss them as a sheer coincidence. People talk about how dreadful it would be if there were no God. I think such talk is hooey. Most of us are a lot more comfortable feeling we are not being watched too closely. If God, by which I do not necessarily mean a single pointed Christian concept, but an all powerful and all knowing force does not exist, well, then we are all off the hook, aren't we? There is no divine retribution, no divine consolation. And if the whole experience stinks, well, what did you expect? That question of expectations interests me. If there is no God, or if that God is disinterested in our funny little affairs, then everything can roll as always, and we can feel quite justified in declaring certain things impossible, other things unfair. If God or the lack of God is responsible for the state of the world, then we can easily wax cynical and resign ourselves to apathy. What's the use? Why try changing anything?
So let's get
This
something. The universe is set. Everything is set in life. The good happens, the bad happens. There is God who's made the entire world. He's made angels. He's made devils. He's made God. He's made truth. He's made false. Now, false and all these things are actually made by man and not by God. But then, for correction, God has planned it all. So stop wallowing in your negativity and start going towards the positivity. You have to understand that life is all that you and I make out of it. Let's not get disinterested in our life or little things and you just say, Bhagwan nahi dikh raha, aisa nahi ho raha. Stop saying those things. There's no lack of God. God is always there. If you believe in Him or His superpower energy, you will face it. That's all there is. Stop blaming yourself. Stop blaming people. Start playing the God game. Yes, let's continue.
this is the use. If there is a responsive creative force
Please change, sir.
that does hear us and act on our behalf, then we may really be able to do some things. The jig, in short, is up. God knows that the sky is the limit. Anyone honest will tell you that possibility is far more frightening than impossibility. That freedom is far more terrifying than any prison. If we do, in fact, have to deal with a force beyond ourselves that involves itself in our lives, then we may have to move into action on those previously impossible dreams. Life is what we make of it, whether we conceive of an inner God force or another outer God, doesn't matter. Relying on that force does. Ask and you shall receive. Knock and it shall be opened to you. These words are among the more unpleasant ones ascribed to Jesus Christ. They suggest the possibility of scientific method. Ask, that is, experiment, and see what happens. Record the results. Is it any wonder we discount answered prayers? We call it coincidence. We call it luck. We call it anything but what it is, the hand of God, or good activated by our own hand when we act in behalf of our truest dreams, when we commit to our own soul.
वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट टू अंडरस्टैंड दैट आप प्रे कर रहे हैं कई बार आपने मांगा नहीं होता है गॉड को बट यू हैव आस्क्ड फॉर इट इन योर माइंड एंड व्हेन दैट कम्स ट्रू stop discounting it as just luck and just stop calling it coincidence. In fact, whatever it is, always thank the almighty, always have an attitude of gratitude. Stop just saying, oh, it to ho gaya, hona hi tha. Because there's no harm in giving importance to the Almighty and being grateful. Is there any harm? So, whoever is the person who's done it, at least start thanking it. Start believing in the act of gratitude, the act of saying thank you, because sky is the limit. You are limitless, and God knows that. Yes, please.
Even the most timid life contains such moments of commitment. I will get a new love seat after all. And then I found the perfect one. It was the strangest thing. I was at my Aunt Bernice's, and her neighbor was having a garage sale. and she had this wonderful love seat her new husband was allergic to. In outsized lives, such moments stand out in bas relief, large as Mount Rushmore. Lewis and Clark headed west. Isaac Vincent took off for Africa. We all have our Africas, those dark and romantic notions that call to our deepest selves. When we answer that call, when we commit to it, we set in motion the principle that C.G. Jung dubbed synchronicity, loosely defined as a fortuitous intermeshing
The meshing of events.
of events. Back in the 60s, we called it serendipity. Whatever you choose to call it, once you begin your creative recovery, you may be startled to find it cropping up everywhere. Don't be surprised if you try to discount it. It can be a very threatening concept. Although Jung's paper on synchronicity was a cornerstone of his thoughts, even many Jungians prefer to believe it was a sort of side issue. They dismiss it like his interest in the I Ching as an oddity, nothing to take too seriously. Jung might differ with them. Following his leadings brought him to experience and describe a phenomenon that some of us prefer to ignore, the possibility of an intelligent and responsive universe acting and reacting in our interest.
Let's
It
get
is
one thing very clear, that in life, there's always a universe which is having our back. It's always having our back. Till now, we may have realized or may not have realized. But if you ask, you will get. So, intelligent, responsive universe is always ready to give you. It's acting and reacting to our very own interest, to our needs, to our prayers. So, whether Jung says something or whether Julia Cameron says something, gets one thing very clear: synchronicity is happening all the time, and fortuitous intermeshing of events is also happening. Things are happening and they are coming into fruition because things are working in the divine order. Start believing that everything is in divine order. Start asking, start believing, start receiving. That's how simple life is all about. Yes, please, let's continue.
it is my experience that this is the case. I have learned as a rule of thumb never to ask whether you can do something. Say instead that you are doing it. Then fasten your seatbelt. The most remarkable things follow. God is efficient. The actress Juliana McCarthy always reminds me. I have many a times marveled at the sleight of hand which the universe delivers its treats.
So, very important to start writing the morning pages if you're not writing. If you have a block in your life where you're not, business is not happening the way you want, jobs aren't happening the way you want, relationships aren't happening the way you want, it's because you have an artist's block. And let me tell you something, all of us are born artists. God has made us artists because we are an extension of Him. He is a creator for us, and we are the creator for our lives. We are co creating our lives. So if you have any block, please start writing the morning pages. What are they all about? Just scribble whatever comes to your mind. Now that is how your block will be released. Whatever, you don't have to even read it, nothing. Just start writing it. God is efficient. The actress Juliana McCarthy always reminds me. He is the most efficient of any humankind. I have many times marveled at the sleep of hand and the universe delivers its treats. So we always have treats. If we start counting our blessings, life is going to be nothing but a treat. Please, Shivani, continue. About 6 years ago,
About 6 years ago, a play of mine was chosen for a large stage reading at the Denver Center for the Performing Arts. I had written the play with my friend Juliana in mind for the lead. She was my ideal casting, but when I arrived in Denver, casting was already set. As soon as I met my leading lady, I had a funny feeling there was a bomb ticking. I mentioned this to the director, but was assured the actress was a consummate professional. Still, the funny feeling lingered in my stomach. Sure enough, week before we were set to open, our leading lady abruptly resigned from my play and from painting churches. The play that was in mid-run. The Denver Center was stunned and very apologetic. They felt terrible about the damage my play would sustain by the abrupt departure. In a perfect world, who would you cast? They asked me. I told them Juliana McCarthy. Juliana was hired and flown in from Los Angeles. No sooner did the center's directors lay eyes on her work, then they asked her not only to do my play, but also take over the run of painting churches for which she was a brilliant cast. God is showing off. I laughed to Juliana, very happy that she had the chance to do her play after all. In my experience, the universe in which worth, falls in with worthy plans, and most especially with festive and expansive ones. I have I have seldom conceived a delicious plan without being given the means to accomplish it. Understand that what must come before the how. First choose what you would do. The how usually falls into place of itself.
So very important that the hows and whys will keep happening as long as we have a plan, as long as we keep believing in life and keep choosing what is right for us. And sometimes you have a gut feeling, also your higher self guides you. Please listen to that because it's very, very important to keep listening and keep growing. Yes, please continue.
All too often when people talk about creative work, they emphasize strategy. Nepho- uh, Neophytes are advised of the Machiavellian devices they must employ to break into the field. I think this is a lot of rubbish. If you ask an artist how he got where he is, he will not describe breaking in, but instead will talk of a series of lucky breaks, a thousand unseen helping hands. Joseph Campbell calls these breaks. I call them synchronicity. It is my contention that you can count on them.
So it's her contention that you can count on them. Synchronicity will happen all the time. As long as you're ready to see them, as long as you're desiring, asking, believing, and receiving, you will get what you want. And so says Stella Terrell Mann. So, very important to keep desiring, very important to keep thinking, very important to ask, believe, receive. Without that, nothing happens. And when that happens, it's very important to be even grateful because when you're grateful, the entire circle of life, circle of love keeps rotating because gratitude and love are the only two key elements that we've been brought up with. So we've been brought up with energy. You and me are here because we are energy, and we are here because of love. So if we are in this circle of love with gratitude, of course, life's going to be nothing but a cakewalk. Remember that creativity is a tribal experience, and that tribal elders will initiate the gifted youngsters who cross their path. This may sound like wishful thinking, but it is not. Sometimes an older artist will be moved to help out even against his or her own wishes. I don't know why I'm doing this for you, but again, I would say that some of the helping hands may be something more than human. We like to pretend it is hard to follow our heart's dreams. The truth is, it is difficult to avoid walking through the many doors that will open. Turn aside your dream and it will come back to you again. Get willing to follow it again, and a second mysterious door will swing open. So opportunities will come. Just be ready to see them because many a times opportunities are coming, but we have a blind eye. We are so disillusioned by our life, we can't even see. We think it's an illusionary world. But what about opening that door? At least give it a nudge, give it a push. Try opening it because life is full of opportunities, and your dream world is giving you a lot of things, but you have to be ready for it. Yes, Shivani, please read the
The,
universe. Yeah.
The universe is prodigal in its support. We are miserly in what we accept. All gift horses are looked in the mouth and usually return to sender. We say we are scared by failure, but what frightens us more is the possibility of success. Take a small step in the direction of a dream and watch the synchronous doors flying open. Seeing, after all, is believing. And if you see the results of your experiments, you will not need to believe me. Remember the maximum leap, and the net will appear. In this book, The Scottish Himalayan Expedition, W.H. Murray tells us his explorer's experience. Until one is committed, there is hesitancy, the chance to draw back, always ineffectiveness concerning all acts of initiative or creation. There is one elementary truth, the ignorance of which kills countless ideas and
Splendid ideas.
splendid plans. That moment, one definitely commits oneself, then providence moves too. All sorts of things occur to help one that would otherwise never have occurred. A whole stream of events issues from the decision, raising in one's favor all manner of incidents and meetings and material assistance which no man would have believed would have come his way. If you do not trust Murray or me, you might want to trust Goethe, statesman, scholar, artist, man of the world. Goethe had this to say on the will of providence assisting our efforts. Whatever you think you can do or believe you can do, begin it. Action has magic, grace, and power in it.
Thank you, Shivani, for reading so beautifully for all of us. I would request Karishma Gala to please take over. Ritesh, sir, you can unmute her. So, whatever you think you can do or believe you can do, begin it. Action has magic, grace, and power in it. William Bridges says a beautiful thing. Genuine beginnings begin within us, even when they are brought to our attention by external opportunities. So there will be genuine beginnings as long as you're ready to see it. And there are so much, some is inside us, some is outside. Just start paying attention, and these external opportunities will come our way, and life is going to become magical. Let's start with reading Shame.
Shame. Some of you are thinking, if it were that easy to take an action, I wouldn't be reading this book. Those of us who get bogged down by fear before action are usually being sabotaged by an older enemy, shame. Shame is a controlling device. Shaming someone is an attempt to prevent the person from behaving in a way that embarrasses us. Making a piece of art may feel a lot like telling a family secret. Secret telling, by its very nature, involves shame and fear. It asks the question, what will they think of me once they know this? This is a frightening question, particularly if you have ever been made to feel ashamed for our curiosities and explorations, social, sexual, spiritual. How dare you? Angry adults often rage at an innocent child who has stumbled onto a family secret. How dare you open your mother's jewelry box? How dare you open your father's desk drawer? How dare you open the bedroom door? How dare you go down in the cellar, up in the attic, into some dark place where we hide those things we don't want you to know? The act of making art exposes a society to itself. Art brings things to light. It illuminates us. It sheds light on our lingering darkness. It casts a beam into the heart of our own darkness and says, see, when people do not want to see something, they get mad at the one who shows them. They kill the messenger. A child from an alcoholic home gets into trouble scholastically or sexually. The family is flagged as being troubled. The child is made to feel shame for bringing shame to the family. But did the child bring shame? No. The child brought shameful things to light. The family shame predated and caused the child's distress. What will the neighbors think is a shaming device aimed at continuing a conspiracy of illness. Art opens the closets, airs out the cellars and attics. It brings healing. But before a wound can heal, it must be seen. And this act of exposing the wound to air and light, the artist's act, is often reacted to with shaming. Bad reviews are a prime source of shame for many artists. The truth is, many reviews do aim at creating shame in an artist. Shame on you. How dare you make that rotten piece of art? For the artist who endured childhood shaming over any form of neediness, any type of expiration, any expectation, shame may kick in even without the aid of a shame provoking review. If a child has ever been made to feel foolish for believing himself or herself talented, the act of actually finishing a piece of art will be fraught with internal shaming.
Very important for us to realize that shaming is not the right thing at all. You can't shame anyone. You can't shame yourself. Would you like to be shamed by anyone externally or yourself internally? If not, then why shame anyone? Be it your child, be it any loved ones. You can't bring shame to yourself or to anyone because that will keep lingering on and will always be a block in the person's growth. You may have done this unconsciously, but time to realize that shaming is absolutely unnecessary. Let's read more to understand about this more.
Many artists begin a piece of work, get well along in it, and then find, as they near completion, that the work seems mysteriously drained of merit. It no longer, it's no longer the worth the trouble. The therapists, to therapists, this surge of sudden disinterest, it doesn't matter, is a routine coping device employed to deny pain and ward off vulnerability. Adults who grow up in dysfunctional homes learn to use this coping device very well. They call it detachment, but it actually, uh, but it is actually a numbing out. He forgot my birthday. Oh well, no big deal. A lifetime of this kind of experience, in which needs for recognition are routinely dishonored, teaches a young child that putting anything out for attention is a dangerous act. Dragging home the invisible bone is how one recovering artist characterized her vain search for an achievement big enough to gain approval in her family of origin. No matter how big a deal it was, they never seemed to take much notice. They always found something wrong with it. All A's and one B, and that B got the attention. It is only natural that a young artist try to flag parental attention by way of accomplishments, positive or negative. Faced with indifference or rage, such youngsters soon learn that no bone would really meet with parental approval. Often we are wrongly shamed as creators. From this shaming, we learn that we are wrong to create. Once we learn this lesson, we forget it instantly. Buried under it, buried under, it doesn't matter, the shame lives on, waiting to attach itself to our new efforts. The very act of attempting to make art creates shame. This is why many a great student film is never sent off to festivals where it can be seen. Why good novels are destroyed or live in desk drawers. This is why plays do not get sent out, why talented actors don't audition. This is why artists may feel shame at admitting their dreams. Shame is re triggered in us as adults because our internal artist is always our creative child. Because of this, making a piece of art may cause us to feel shame. We don't make art with its eventual criticism foremost in mind, but criticism that asks a question like, how could you? Can make an artist feel like a shamed child. A well meaning friend who constructively criticizes a beginning writer may very well end that writer. Let me be clear. Not all criticism is shaming. In fact, even the most severe criticism, when it fairly hits the mark, is apt to be greeted by an internal aha if it shows the artist a new and valid path for work. The criticism that damages is that which disparages, dismisses, ridicules, or condemns. It is frequently vicious, but vague and difficult to refute. This is the criticism that damages.
Very important to not criticize ever. And all of us have been criticized, all of us have been shamed. I gather we would have been. And that is when your inner child gets blocked, the artist in you gets blocked, the creative in you gets blocked. So please do not harp on it anymore, but start writing your morning pages where all this will unnecessary stuff will unfold. And what's going to fold up is your negativity will fold up and leave your back and go, and positivity will come here forever. So criticism was important, but no more. What happened happened in the past. Now it's time to move on. Let's continue.
Shamed by such criticism, an artist may become blocked or stop sending work out into the world. A perfectionist friend, teacher, or critique, like a perfectionist parent who nitpicks at missing commas, can dampen the ardor of a young artist who is just learning to let it rip. Because of this, as artists, we must learn to be very self protective. Does this mean no criticism? No. It means learning where and when to seek out right criticism. As artists, we must learn when criticism is appropriate and from whom. Not only the source, but the timing is very important here. A first draft is seldom appropriately shown to any but the most gentle and discerning eye. It often takes another artist to see the embryonic work that is trying to sprout. The inexperienced or harsh critical eye, instead of nurturing the shoot of art into being, may shoot it down instead. As artists, we cannot control all the criticism we will receive. We cannot make our professional critics more healthy or more loving or more constructive than they are. But we can learn to comfort our artist child over unfair criticism. We can learn to find friends with whom we can safely vent our pain. We can learn not to deny and stuff our feelings when we have been artistically savaged. Art requires a safe hatchery. Ideally, artists find this first in their family, then in their school, and finally in a community of friends and supporters. This ideal is seldom a reality. As artists, we must learn to create our own safe environments. We must learn to protect our artist child from shame. We do this by diffusing our childhood shamings, getting them on the page, and sharing them with a trusted, non shaming other. By telling our shame secrets around our art and telling them through our art, we release ourselves and others from darkness. This release is not always welcomed. We must learn that when our art reveals a secret of the human soul, those watching it may try to shame us for making it. It's terrible, they may say, attacking the work when the work itself is actually fine. This can be very confusing. When we are told, shame on you, and feel it, we must learn to recognize this shame as a recreation of childhood shames. I know that work is good. I thought that was good work. Could I be kidding myself? Maybe that critic is right. Why did I ever have the nerve to think? And the downward spiral begins. At these times, we must be very firm with ourselves and not pick up the first doubt. We simply cannot allow the first negative thinking to take hold. Taking in the first doubt is like picking up the first drink for an alcoholic. Once in our system, the doubt will take on another doubt and another. Doubting thoughts can be stopped, but it takes vigilance to do it. Maybe that critic was right, and boom, you must go into action. You are a good artist, a brave artist. You are doing well. It's good that you did the work. When God's Will, the romantic film comedy I directed, debuted in Washington, D.C., it was a homecoming for me. My earliest journalism work had been for the Washington Post. I was hoping for a hometown girl makes good reception, but in the reviews printed prior to the opening, I did not get it. The Post sent a young woman who watched an entire movie about theater people and then wrote that it was about movie people. She added that most of my dialogue had been stolen from Casablanca. I wondered what movie she had seen. not the one I made. My movie had 40 odd theater jokes and a one line joke about Casablanca. Those were the facts, but they didn't do me any good. I was mortified, shamed, ready to almost die. Because the antidote for shame is self love and self praise, this is what I did. I went for a walk through Rock Creek Park. I prayed. I made a list for myself of past compliments and good reviews. I did not tell myself, it doesn't matter, but I did tell my artist self, you will heal. And I showed up for my opening. It was a lot more successful than my reviews. 3 months later, my film was chosen for a prestigious European festival. They offered to fly me over, to pay my expenses, to showcase my film. I hesitated. The Washington shaming had done its slow and poisonous work. I was afraid to go, but I knew better than to not go. My years in artistic recovery had taught me to just show up. When I did, my film sold at a great price and won a headline in Variety. I shared the headline because the irony of it was not lost on me. God's will hit in Munich, it read. It is God's will for us to be creative.
So God has made you and me creative, and we will be shamed. But the best is that you have your own back. You know, life has your back. So when you're shamed, simply affirm and tell yourself, this is a much better version of me, and something is coming out of the criticism, and let me take it well. Remember, Camus said a beautiful thing. What doesn't kill me makes me stronger. Sometimes criticism always makes the better version of you. Sometimes it's done aimlessly, but you have your back. Simply start affirming and believing in yourself, and you will most definitely heal. And through the pages of your morning diaries, where you're unleashing your old blockages, a lot is going to keep coming up. So let's turn the page. Now we'll talk about how you and I can deal with criticism. We've talked about shaming. Now, how do we deal with this? Very beautiful, very simple, very effective. So, as Karishma reads with all of us, let's now start this chapter with starting with the quote by Hazrat Inayat Khan, who says, "The words that enlighten the soul are more precious than jewels." So, a lot of us are going inwards now, and whatever makes your soul happy is what are the jewels of your life, and each one of us has different jewels, right? Love is the main essence, yes, but a lot more comes, which is extra. Let's read about dealing with criticism.
Dealing with criticism. It is important to be able to sort useful criticism from the other kind. Often we need to do the sorting out for ourselves without the benefit of a public vindication. As artists, we are far more able to do this sorting than people might suspect. Pointed criticism, if accurate, often gives the artist an inner self sense of relief. Aha, so that's what was wrong with it. Useful criticism ultimately leaves us with one more puzzle piece for our work. Useful criticism, useless criticism, on the other hand, leaves us with a feeling of being bulgent. As a rule, it is withering and shaming in tone, ambiguous in content, personal, inaccurate, or blanket in its condemnation. There is nothing to be gleaned from irresponsible criticism. You are dealing with an inner child. Artistic child abuse creates rebellion, creates block. All that can be done with abusive criticism is to heal from it. There are certain rules of the road useful in dealing with any form of criticism.
Let's read these rules very carefully. There are 9 of them, and they will help you release the criticism. It's going to be very beautiful to deal with it. Number 1.
Receive the criticism all the way through and get it over with. 2. Jot down notes to yourself and on what concepts or phrases bother you. 3. Jot down notes on what concepts or phrases seem useful. 4. Do something very nurturing for yourself. Read an old good review or recall a compliment. 5. Remember that even if you have made a truly rotten piece of art, it may be a necessary stepping stone to your next work. Art matures spasmodically and requires ugly duckling growth stages. 6. Look at the criticism again. Does it remind you of any criticism from your past, particularly shaming childhood criticism? Acknowledge to yourself that the current criticism is triggering grief over a long standing wound. 7. Write a letter to the critic, not to be mailed, most probably. Defend your work and acknowledge what was helpful, if anything, in the criticism proffered.
Very
8.
important to this 7 point, because this is a time you want to tell the critic that, okay, I didn't deserve it. This is what happened. But you don't have to always send it to the person, because again, he or she will become defensive. But the minute you have written this letter, you have detoxed, you have released all that you had to say. So it's very important to unblock yourself. Yes. 8.
Get back on the horse. Make an immediate commitment to do something creative. Do it. Creativity is the only cure for criticism.
Creativity is the only cure for criticism. If people criticize you, does not mean you have to stop doing it. Start learning what can become better. Let's keep reinventing. Start practicing and start growing. Very important to keep growing in life. Artists who seek perfection in everything are those who cannot attain it in anything. Eugene Delacroix. So, very important that we are not people who are out here to perfect. Just release it, just do it. Perfection is not to be driven. Perfection is again a myth. For you, it's perfect. For me, it's not. Again, it's very debatable. So, let's just do it. Detective work and exercise. Now, again, today's exercise, let's read about it.
Many blocked people are actually very powerful and creative personalities who have been made to feel guilty about their own strengths and gifts. Without being acknowledged, they are often used as batteries by their families and friends, who feel free to both use their creative energies and disparage them. When these blocked artists strive to break free of their dysfunctional systems, they are often urged to be sensible when such advice is not appropriate for them. Made to feel guilty for their talents, they often hide their own light under a bushel for fear of hurting others. Instead, they hurt themselves. A little sleuth work is in order to restore the persons we have abandoned, ourselves. When you complete the following phrases, you may feel strong emotions as you retrieve memories and misplaced fragments of yourself. Allow yourself to free associate for a sentence or so with each phrase. My favorite childhood toy was. My favorite childhood game was. The best movie I ever saw as a kid was. I don't do it much, but I enjoy. If I could lighten up a little, I'd let myself. If it weren't too late, I'd. My favorite musical instrument is. The amount of money I spend on treating myself to entertainment each month is. If I weren't so stingy with my artist, I'd buy him, her. Taking time out for myself is. I am afraid that if I start dreaming, I secretly enjoy reading. If I had had a perfect childhood, I'd have grown up to be. If it didn't sound so crazy, I'd write or make a. My parents think artists are. My God thinks artists are. What makes me feel weird about this recovery is learning to trust myself is probably my most cheer me up music is my favorite way to dress is.
So this is something like taking this in our hands, our life in our hands. What people believe is not what you believe. We're supposed to write detectively, just go back into your past and see what are your beliefs. Erica Jong says, take your life in your own hands and what happens? A terrible thing? No one to blame. So it's very simply start taking life in your hands and see what are your beliefs. And with that, we'll start growing. Let's read growth.
Growth is an erratic forward movement. 2 steps forward, 1 step back. Remember that and be very gentle with yourself. A creative recovery is a healing process. You are capable of great things on Tuesday, but on Wednesday, you may slide backward. This is normal. Growth occurs in spurts. You will lie dormant sometimes. Do not be discouraged. Think of it as resting. Very often, a week of insights will be followed by a week of sluggishness. The morning pages will seem pointless. They are not. What you are learning to do, writing them even when you are tired and they seem dull, is to rest on the page. This is very important. Marathon runners suggest you log 10 slow miles for every fast one. The same holds true for creativity. In this sense, easy does it is actually a modus operandi. It means easy accomplishes it. If you will hew to a practice of writing 3 pages every morning and doing one kind thing for yourself every day, you will begin to notice a slight lightness of heart. Practice being kind to yourself in small, concrete ways. Look at your refrigerator. Are you feeding yourself nicely? Do you have socks, an extra set of sheets? What about a new houseplant? A thermos for the long drive to work? Allow yourself to pitch out some of your old, ragged clothes. You don't have to keep everything. The expression, God helps those who help themselves, may take on a new and very different meaning, wherein the past is translated, God helps only those who earn help. It will now come to signify the amazing number of small free gifts the Creator showers on those who are helping themselves to a little bounty. If you do one nice thing a day for yourself, God will do two more. Be alert for support and encouragement from unexpected quarters. Be open to receiving gifts from old channels, free tickets, a free trip, an offer to buy you dinner, a new to you old couch. Practice saying yes to such help. The scientifically inclined among you might want to make a good, thorough list of clothes you wish you had. Very often, the items on the list come into your possession at disconcerting speed. Just try it. Experiment. More than anything else, experiment with solitude. You will need to make a commitment to quiet time. Try to acquire the habit of checking in with yourself several times a day. Just take a beat and ask yourself how you are feeling. Listen to your answer. Respond kindly. If you are doing something very hard, promise yourself a break and a treat afterwards. Yes, I am asking you to baby yourself. We believe that to be artists, we must be tough, cynical, and intellectually chilly. Leave that to the critics. As a creative being, you will be more productive when coaxed than when bullied.
I hope we all know that people grow, we grow when we are appreciated, when we are complimented. Bullies are important, critics are important, but right now you have to be your own fallback factor, your own person who keeps motivating yourself. Remember, nobody needs to encourage you. You have to keep doing this check-in and you have to keep moving on. Let's read the task today.
Describe your childhood room. If you wish, you may sketch this room. What was your favorite thing about it? What's your favorite thing about your room right now? Nothing? Well, get something you like in there. Maybe something from that old childhood room. Describe 5 traits you like in yourself as a child. List 5 childhood accomplishments. Straight A's in 7th grade, trained the dog, punched out the class bully, short sheeted the priest's bed, and a treat. List 5 favorite childhood foods. Buy yourself one of them this week. Yes, jello with bananas is okay. Habits. Take a look at your habits. Many of them may interfere with your self nurturing and cause shame. Some of the oddest things are self destructive. Do you have a habit of watching TV you don't like? Do you have a habit of hanging out with a really boring friend and just killing time? There's an expression. Some rotten habits are obvious, overt. Drinking too much, smoking, eating instead of writing. List 3 obvious rotten habits. What's the payoff in continuing them? Some rotten habits are more subtle. No time to exercise, little time to pray, always helping others, not getting any self nurturing, hanging out with people who belittle your dreams. List three of your subtle foes. What use do you what use do these forms of sabotage have? Be specific. Make a list of friends who nurture you. That's nurture. Give give you a sense of your own competency and possibility, not enable. Give you the message that you will never get it straight without their help. There is a big difference between being helped and being treated as though we are helpless. List three nurturing friends. Which of their traits particularly serve you well? Call a friend who treats you like you are a really good and bright person who can accomplish things. Part of your recovery is reaching out for support. This support will be critical as you undertake new risks. Inner compass. Each of us has an inner compass. This is an instinct that points us towards health. It warns us when we are on dangerous ground, and it tells us when something is safe and good for us. Morning pages are one way to contact it. So are some other artist brain activities: painting, driving, walking, scrubbing, running. This week, take an hour to follow your inner compass by doing an artist brain activity and listening to what insights bubble up. List five people you admire. Now, list five people you secretly admire. What traits do these people have that you can cultivate further in yourself? List five people you wish you had met who are dead. Now, list five people who are dead whom you'd like to hang out with for a while in eternity. What traits do you find in these people that you can look for in your friends? Compare the two sets of lists. Take a look at what you really like and really admire, and look at what you think you should like and admire. Your shoulds might tell you to admire Edison, while your heart belongs to Houdini. Go with the Houdini side of you for a while.
Thank you, Karishma. That was magnificent. Thank you so much. So a lot of things has to be done, and I will put them up together so that you can understand them clearly, and I will send them through your catalyst and also a part of your assignment. Now, about the artist way, you can divide it for the full 1 week. Do something someday, something someday, analyze, retrospect, keep analyzing yourself. It's not to be done at one go if you don't have time because it takes time. The time is solitude is something you have to fix. So these 20 minutes of artist way, maybe a day, maybe if you wish. Morning pages are very, very important. And these are for you to realize that your blocks are there. How do you unblock them? I will send them in detail. And if anybody has any question, of course, you're free to ask me through email or WhatsApp. Today, we will be checking in. How many days this week did you do your morning pages? How was the experience for you? If you skipped a day, why did you skip it? Did you do your artist date this week? Yes, yes, and it was awful. What did you do? How did it feel? So, the artist date is very important because this is your time alone with yourself. Did you experience any synchronicity this week? How was it? Number four. Were there any other issues this week that you consider significant for your recovery? Describe them. So, a lot of times, Ritesh, so you can change the book to Hard Thoughts. A lot of times, a lot of negative baggage will come in this writing, in your analysis of yourself. And that negative baggage which is coming out is very important. A lot of magics will come out. Oh, this happened. I never thought this would happen. And then you realize that because you're unblocking gradually, 0.5%, 1%, 1.5%, these are adding to your unblocking of your emotions. And this is a therapy, it takes time, a span over its timeline, but this is very, very deep. So again, those 10 points which are going to be coming, so please read them gradually, do them gradually, maybe today, maybe tomorrow, maybe day after, span them out. But artist week and morning pages are constant for us for our life. So very important to keep continuing to read and tread in our own territory. Karishma, would you like to read this about growing up? So we read about growth and we read about so many things. Today we're reading also about growing up. I treat myself with unconditional love. Feel your heart opening and know that there is room in there for you. So please read.
If your childhood was full of fear and battling, and you mentally beat yourself now, you are continuing to treat your inner child much the same. The child has no place to go within you. Love yourself enough now to go beyond your parents' limitations. They did not know any other way to train you. You have been a good little child for a long time, doing exactly what mommy and daddy taught you. It is time for you to grow up and make adult decisions that support and nourish you.
So we all are being nourished, we all are being supported, and this time by ourselves. Forget parents' limitations, forget society's limitations. This time it's time to grow up and make our own decisions that support us and nourish us. Thank you, Karishma, for your absolutely magical, deep voice, and thank you, Shivani, so much for reading for us in the morning. Now let's go to a meditation. If anyone wants to log off, you're free to log off. We will be meditating on mirror work, but absolutely up to you. Let's straighten our backs, our feet firmly placed on the ground below, our eyes closed, our hands in a Gyan Mudra, the Buddha pose, or facing heavenwards. Let's wear a smile. Let's inhale love. Feel this love pulsating in your body, in every single cell of your being. Gently exhale it. It's a part of you, and yet you're sharing it. The more you share, the more you care. Inhale light. It's brightening the inside world of yours. All the organs are taking a bath, a shower of light. Exhale it ever so gently, knowing as you share your light, you are making the world bright. So go, share your light. Inhale acceptance of all things in life. Life is a constant. Internally, you accept every single thing without creating a scar in your inner being. As you exhale, share acceptance. Let people know how important it is to let go and accept a change because that's the only way to grow. Each of us is enveloped in love, and love is the biggest healing factor. Imagine being enveloped in a circle of love where all your family members are there. The ones who've crossed over are also there. Feel the warmth of your loved ones. You can broaden this circle to include your friends, your loved ones, maybe your co workers, everyone from the past, and all the people you would like to forgive but don't know how. It could be a teacher, it could be a parent, it could be a family member. Just include them in your circle of love. Let's affirm that you have wonderful, harmonious relationships with them, that you respect them, you care for them, and you no longer judge them because you have forgiven, because you have been born to give love. And now you're forgiving them from the bottom of your heart. Know that you can live with dignity and peace and joy. Let this circle of love envelope the entire planet Earth and let your heart open so that you have space within you for unconditional love. Love is the most powerful healing force there is. Send everyone you know lots of comfort and acceptance and support and love. Be aware that as you send these thoughts out, you also receive them in return. Whatever you give is what you get. You're already seated in a circle of love. Visualize them once again. Embrace your family members, embrace your friends, embrace your co workers. Put yourself in the circle of love. Feel being loved unconditionally. You are worth loving. You are beautiful. You are powerful. Open yourself to all the good and to all the unconditional love around you. Let's affirm. I open myself to love. I am willing to love and be loved. I see myself prospering. I see myself healthy. I see myself creatively fulfilled. I have wonderful, harmonious relationships in which there is mutual respect and caring. I am love. I am light. Let's bring our hands together and fold them in gratitude in front of our heart and express abundant gratitude to all the people in our life. We express our love for you. We give our forgiveness to all those who need it, who we may not have forgiven knowingly or unknowingly, intentionally or unintentionally. And we forgive ourselves and we love ourselves. And so it is. Let's rub our hands together, feel the energy, bless our conscious, subconscious mind for restructuring, reprogramming, unlearning, learning, loving, forgiving, and growing. To a wonderful face, for seeing all things right, for hearing all things right, for sensing and smelling all things right, for speaking the good virtues and all things correct, for the sense of touch, sense of emotions, to our neck, to a food pipe for nurturing us with spiritual food, to our shoulders for taking the weight, to our arms for being our extensions, to our back for keeping us strong, to our hips for grounding us, to our chest, to our lungs, to our wonderful heart, liver, stomach, intestines, gallbladder, uterus, kidneys, sexual organs, excretory organs, thighs, knees, calves, ankles, soles of feet from where you're growing into Mother Earth. Come back up and feel the blessing. Thank your life that you've lived before, the life that you're living right now with a lot of gratitude, and the life that you're co creating, which is absolutely magical and magnificent. Let's thank our universe for spreading our hands. Love and light is what we feel. Dear universe, thank you for your blessings, for having our back. Dear divinity, thank you for showering us with choices to bless blessings. Masters, gurus, thank you. Angels, guardians, thank you. We are indeed protected and we are so in gratitude. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Now fold your hands again in front of your heart. Dearest, wonderful, magical body, thank you for all that you do for me, to all the organs that function so perfectly, muscles, tissues, glands, blood circulation system, bones, and my skin. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I share my light with all my Sangha, their loved ones, and all beings on Mother Earth. Sanya, Prachi, Shelly, Prakash, and Jigisha, Yashvi, Pratima ji, Hina, Ankur, Ritu, Poonam, Rima, Rigu, Naveen, Siddharth, Vanna, Alona, Sailesh, Sapna, Shubhra, Ajay, Prashant, Mudita, Radhika, Minakshi, Ankita, Akshay, Ravi, Chandra, Neha, Nisha, Gyanji, Ushaji, Rajniji, Rajiv, Payal, Shalu, Nitika, Nikita, Peena, Kripa, Karishma, Disha, Rohini, Neelam, Saita, Niriksha, Shruti, Jitendraji, Sakshi, Aanchal, Sunita, Harpreet, Alifya, Ashish, Pooja, Parul, Aanchal, Shami, Ankur, Mitu, Bhuvan, Nehal, Akshay, Richa, Anju, Kavita, Nitin, Bharat Archana, Bon 121 Valai, Puneet Bansal, and Ritesh sir. Thank you. Thank you so much, Amrita. Thank you, Sanjay sir. Thank you, Shweta. Thank you, everyone, for this morning. I'll see you tomorrow at 5 o'clock. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. God bless you all.